I'm the Irish guy, and sometimes in life, weird things just happen. Things that you'd have never anticipated in a million years. Like seeing a frog burp the alphabet or seeing a dolphin speak Welsh. But this year, next month, the whole world is about to witness Newcastle United winning a trophy. And quite frankly, that is ridiculous. I genuinely believe the world might break seeing a Newcastle United captain holding aloft a trophy. I don't think my eyes are going to be able to comprehend what I'm witnessing. Even the thought of it, it's like trying to comprehend how on earth mermaids can get pregnant. Newcastle United don't win trophies. They don't. Back in 2015, Newcastle United's greasy pumpkin owner, or should I say the warden of the club, Mike Ashley, he came out in the media and told the world he was not selling up until the Magpies won something. Yeah. This was said after Newcastle had just lost 8 Premier League matches in a row. We're inching towards relegation. Hearing Big Mike say this, it was a bit like the monster underneath your bed, telling you that he's not moving out until Susan Boyle sets foot in the gym. This was a moment of pure despair. Because of course, this man was not going to help Newcastle United win a sausage. He clearly had no intention of winning anything. There was more chance of seeing this man pop onto the first series of Love Island. Looking like a cross between Tony Soprano and the secretary of Monsters Inc., Eddie Howe is now taking Newcastle United to 2 separate finals after taking over a team bottom of the league. It's incredible. Amazing. What am I seeing? They've just spanked Arsenal 4-0 in aggregate in a cup semi-final. I can barely comprehend this. Yes, it's Liverpool that waits for them in the final, but so? Do you think Liverpool are confident of beating Newcastle at Wembley? This Newcastle team? Really? Okay, I mean, sure, Newcastle haven't actually beaten Liverpool in 10 years, but so, do you honestly believe that Liverpool are hungrier for this trophy than Newcastle? Absolutely not, and let me tell you why. Lads, winning trophies has never been on the radar at St James's Park. Believe me. Let me tell you a really depressing stat. Between 2007 and 2020, Newcastle did not have a single season where they had more than 2 matches in the FA Cup. In 13 years. The Magpies had FA Cup wins over Stoke, Plymouth, Blackburn, Birmingham, Luton, and Blackburn again. That is it. That is every FA Cup win in 13 years. During those years, they were knocked out by West Brom, Stevenage, Brighton, twice, Cardiff, Leicester, Watford, Oxford United, Christ above. I remember the time that Steve Bruce rocked up to St James's Park and left with a 5-1 win with Birmingham. Do you know how embarrassed I was walking into school after that? I mean, the League Cup runs weren't much better, and some particular lowlights were losing to Wigan, Sheffield Wednesday, Hull, Nottingham Forest twice in a row. In the 21-22 season, Newcastle were dumped out of both domestic cups in the first round without even scoring a goal after being given home matches against Burnley and Cambridge. Nobody saw cup finals on the horizon for this down and out club. Nobody. Oh no one. Winning a trophy looked about as realistic as Ant and Dec doing an Instagram live stream of both of them eating dog food off each other's stomachs. I mean, they're weird, but they're not that weird. I am desperate for Newcastle United to win a trophy. It's something I never thought I would see happen ever. Lads, back in 2005, Newcastle had just signed England's number 9 from Real Madrid for a club record fee, and yet even still, despite being a big boy in the transfer market, oh no, on the pitch, in the first round of both cups, the club still needed 80th minute goals from Alan Shearer to grind out 1-0 wins over Mansfield and Grimsby. Do you see how little belief had been coursing through this club in cup competitions? I mean, in January 2009, the club had 2 FA Cup matches against little old Hull. Didn't score a single goal in either game. Between 2005 and 2022, I can count on one hand the actual exciting domestic cup wins for Newcastle. The games which might have created a flicker of optimism for the season ahead. One was getting a 4-3 win at Stamford Bridge in the League Cup third round back in 2010. Even Niall Ranger scored a mightily impressive win against a team coached by Carlo Ancelotti. Great. And also pulling off an insanely surprising 2-0 win away to Manchester City in the League Cup fourth round in 2014. Both times, the fans were then punished for believing in the very next round with embarrassing 4-0 defeats. It's like the Newcastle supporters were being slapped by the footballing overlords for daring to have hope. I mean, I suppose Newcastle had a 7-0 win in this competition 5 years ago, but that was against Morecambe away from home. Hey, yeah, guess what? In the very next round, after a 7-0 win, John Joe Shelby needs to scrape an 87th minute equaliser at Newport County. And after Joelinton misses penalty in the shootout, it looked like Steve Bruce's boys were crushing out to a team of milkmen and toilet cleaners. You know what's nuts? 5 of the 6 Newcastle United penalty takers from that embarrassing evening are still at the club. Back then, Joelinton looked like a big bag of toilet water. And I remember him missing a penalty against some chubby goalie who probably had a part-time job mowing lawns. That was about right. The fact Eddie Howe has transformed him into one of the biggest midfield monsters in Europe, that is insane. If you had told me that then, after Joelinton embarrassed himself against garbage Welsh opposition, that he'd one day win a trophy for this club, no. Lads, I'm going to say this. For a while there, the League Cup was seen as a joke. The Fredo Corleone of the cup competitions. I remember when Middlesbrough won this in 2004, beating Bolton in the final. I remember as a little boy thinking that seeing those players in tears lifting that trophy, it was a bit like watching a bunch of dopes dancing around their bedroom because they just won free pancakes down the local bingo hall. Do you know why I thought that though? It's because Arsenal's Invincibles treated that competition with absolute disdain. The best team in England were chucking their kiddies out there to lose in a two-legged semi-final. Come on, a strike force of Kanu and Quincy Owusu-Agbay with random nobodies like Scudderson and Hoyt on the bench. This wasn't a B team. It was the C team. If Arsene Wenger dug any deeper into his squad, he'd have probably been chucking a young Jeremy Lynch on the bench. To be fair though, Jose Mourinho entered England and actually breathed some seriousness back into this competition. He gave it mouth-to-mouth resuscitation because he took it seriously, picking his A team. And so yeah, scooped the cup in 2005 and 2007. I mean lads, in that 2007 final against Arsenal, Cech, Diarra, Terry, Carvalho, Bridge, Lampard, Ballack, Essien, Shevchenko, Drogba. The only player in that starting 11 who was never world class in his career was, the left back who recently wimped out of fighting KSI. But everyone else on that team sheet, superstars. And that actually breathed relevance back into this competition. Everyone started taking it seriously after that. Although I will admit, once Mourinho left, then the League Cup sort of became a joke again for the bigger teams. We saw Birmingham winning the cup months before they were relegated to the Championship, which was a worrying signal that maybe, the bigger clubs had started to neglect the importance of it again. And that was made no clearer than the rock bottom moment in 2013, when we had to sit through the absolute shambles and disgrace of the worst final I have ever seen in the history of anything. And that was Swansea City 5, Bradford City 0. Seeing Nathan Dyer and Jonathan de Guzman, Swansea teammates, literally squabbling over who gets to take a penalty at Wembley. I'm sorry, but that was the year where honestly, you could have cancelled the League Cup forever. You could have deleted this competition from English football and I'd have been happy. Swansea City should not be beating anyone 5-0 in the final of anything. They should not be securing their first trophy in 101 years of being alive by thumping a mid-table side from League 2. That was scary. To me, that was proof that nobody cared about this competition anymore. Not if you're letting Bradford embarrass themselves in the final. It was a bit like if a nightclub were struggling for business. And so in the end, the security guards just turn a blind eye to the 12-year-old sneaking in for a beer. It's only when it's 2 a.m. the lights come on and you see the remains of a Happy Meal buried deep within, teenage sick on the dance floor. That's when you realize your business is in the mud. I was not jealous of Swansea in 2013. Honestly, I wasn't, because I almost felt bad for the Welsh. Seeing your team finally win a trophy after being starved of silverware your whole life, it must be the most wonderful esoteric feeling in the world. I was at the League Cup final in 2023. I remember the nerves, the sleepless nights, the feeling of sick excitement in my stomach as I walked up those steps. Those Swansea fans wouldn't have had any of that. They were playing Bradford, a team you could beat with your eyes closed. Do you think there were tears of relief be swatting away a fourth tier side like a fat bumblebee? No, winning that cup final was about as easy as eating a slice of toast. In 2013, to me, this competition was a disgrace. It now had the same levels of importance to the world as a grasshopper getting chicken pox. No one cares. Big clubs were getting so hilariously sloppy, which was no more obvious and evident than in the 4th round, where we had Manchester United losing 5-4 to Chelsea and Arsenal winning 7-5 at Reading. Manchester United conceding 4 at Stamford Bridge and still losing. It's proof that nobody cared about this competition anymore. In the previous round, the champions of England Man City conceded 4 at home to a terrible Aston Villa. Hello? This was the 4 best teams in England. Man City, Man United, Arsenal and Chelsea. All conceding at least 4 goals in one League Cup match. Sloppy, sloppy, sloppy. But just like how Mourinho breathed life back into the League Cup, so too did Pep Guardiola. He comes in and immediately takes it seriously and wins 4 on the trot. This reign of dominance irked the likes of other clubs who got jealous and started to take it more seriously, which is why we've seen Chelsea make the final 3 times since 2019. Liverpool have since won it twice. I mean, it was actually quite fitting that the 2 men who made the League Cup relevant again, the 2 men who saved this competition, should have actually faced off against each other in the final in 2021. But now instead, for some weird reason, It was Pep versus Ryan Mason. A little boy who probably still goes trick-or-treating with his mum. He probably dresses up as Humpty Dumpty. Oh no, sorry, that was me. The League Cup is no longer the joke it once was. Now all the big teams do field their best players and do try to win. Again, Arsenal went full strength in both semi-final legs against Newcastle. In the 2004 semi-final against Northeast opposition, it was Stack, Toure, Saigon, Keown, Clichy, Parler, Edu, Silva, Bentley, Canu, Owusu, Abe. Not a Thierry Henry in sight. It's changed now. No longer is this a Mickey Mouse Cup. It's not. Over the last 5, 6, 7 years, it has been legitimized as a serious trophy again. And lads, Newcastle United are gonna win it. Lads, people like to laugh at Tottenham for not winning much. Well, lads, between 2009 and 2021, Spurs were incredible. Before Harry Redknapp and then eventually Pochettino, Spurs were a rubbish mid-table side. Reaching the Champions League was a miracle pipe dream. Yeah, they since had 6 seasons in the Champions League. Reaching the final once? That is mental. They have had amazing nights where they've beaten the reigning European champions, Inter Milan in 2010 and Real Madrid in 2017. And that glory period all started with the League Cup win in 2008. That was what finally released the gloom and doom from around Tottenham's head. And after that, they got the confidence to really kick on as a club. So this final is going to be the making of Newcastle too. This is going to feel so strange, so weird to see them actually winning silverware. But when this happens, oh boy, Look, I'm going to say something nuts, okay? Something that you're going to think is wacky, but I've always thought this. I think home advantage counts in a final. Psychological home advantage. Whoever's name is on the left of the scoreboard, I think psychologically that feels like home advantage. Even when logically you're both in a neutral stadium in Wembley. But I've always thought about this. Even when playing FIFA against other kids as a child, home advantage counts. If you're on the left, psychologically, you feel like you're going to win. And for the last cup final, Newcastle were the away team against Manchester United and so limply lost without a fuss. But now, it looks like Newcastle have the psychological home advantage against Liverpool. Their name comes first. They are the A side. So that means Newcastle are winning this thing. I mean, Liverpool are winning the Premier League. They don't need the League Cup as well. No, it would be like the equivalent of a greedy James Corden stealing a pie from a starving homeless man. This trophy means far more for Newcastle than it does for Liverpool. I promise you. And that's where the Magpies are going to win. 2-1. Alexander Isak, Mo Salah, and the man to carve himself into the history books as a legendary figure for Newcastle United, Jacob Murphy. I'm actually going to watch somebody score the winning goal for Newcastle in a cup final who has an Irish mum. Anyway, that's the end of the 11 minutes, because what do you think? Are Newcastle going to be? Yes, they are. Yes, let me know in the comments section. Don't forget to like, subscribe, as always. I'll talk to you in a while.